How are you doing today? All my family, la family out there. The week has been beautiful, and I have clarity that your week has been beautiful as well. We give honor to life that we're here together again to say alafia to one another. The aim of Ifaila Ministry is to engage ourselves in the possibility that is very clear. It is possible with the strong arms of God for every one of us to make a decision to close the gap that is between man and woman. Because the gap that is between man and woman is causing separations. And in the world whereby we can see that love is the key, we have to make a decision to come together and begin to learn to touch one another with love that is genuine. That is the aim of the Ifaila Ministry, to close the gap between man and woman. And the only thing that is going to do it is genuine love. Some of us may think, what is she talking about? Well, it's a personal decision. It's either you believe in love or you don't. For me, I believe in love, and I have clarity that the strong arms of God, the strong arms of our everlasting loving God will do it. Even when we don't know how to, or when we don't even think it is possible. But I personally think it is possible. And God has done it because God is love. Alafia. Last week, what we spoke about was language, not languish. And the center of that topic was that God did not give us language to create problem among His people, because we're all God people, whether we like it or not. How we engage with the energy of God, of course, might be different, but we're all God people. And somehow we have used that language as some sort of tool to create problem among ourselves. And language is that one of the purpose or process whereby we will come together as one, and regardless of the fact that we do things differently, culturally or with the language that we speak. None of that is really, really relevant where love is concerned. That's the beauty of God, that we have a different way of doing precisely the same thing. God is one. Therefore, what we're teaching one another is to not look at language as a barrier anymore, but to look at language as one of the beauty of God that is going to bring us together as one people. That we learn to respect one another in spite of our different languages and culture. Alafia. This week, what we're going to be talking about is based on love, really. Love. Let's speak about love. Let's talk about love. What are we going to do without love? It is anybody that think that the world don't need love to move forward or to to survive, or to progress, or to become one people, then let us know. For me, I don't think there's anything we can do without love. Even though we don't particularly function in that overflowing rhyme of genuine love of God, that is still the number one energy that keep the world moving in the circle and always come to a path of straight path. It is love. I'm not like totally naive like that to think that we live in the world whereby everybody believes in love, or everybody think love is the way forward. Some people find other things to be their strength, that is the way forward. I suppose one will not argue with that, because it's preferential. For me, I choose love, and I can't find any other way to function, because that has made my life worth living. Love of God, love of God. Say for example, if God was to ask us, do you love me? I don't know what people would say. What would you say to God? I guess most people would say, if they were given the opportunity to be standing in front of God and God say, do you love me? Say, yes, I love you, God. Then God will say, what are the things that you do 24/7 or all the time that convinced you that you love me? Because it is very convenient for any one of us to say, I love God. But when we were to ask, what do you do to make you feel without any reasonable doubt that you love God? And somehow, I think majority of us will, at one time or the other, do something that is kind of referencing God. Be having a forgiving heart, be not liking to lie. I think the center of actually saying we love God would be not wanting to hurt somebody else. I think that just sums it all up. When you're someone that you make it your daily routine, the part of your way of life not to hurt somebody else, then you can actually say that you love God. I think the genuine love that we give to one another is the only way that we can be ascertained that we love God. I feel it strongly in my heart that God will not accept it from anyone to say, oh, I love you because I have a forgiving heart. Or, oh, my friend does this to me the other time and I forgive him or I forgive her. I don't think that will cut it with God. Rather, what will cut it with God will be what God will accept from every one of us will be, I love everyone the same way as I love myself. Meaning I will not hurt anyone or anything, because if you connect with everyone or everything energetically, it won't be a problem to find yourself hurting when that person hurt or when that thing hurt. You know, some people might even like to think that a stone don't have feeling. This that I just said right now about a stone, It's very emotional for me. Can you imagine? I didn't get that myself. Seriously speaking, I did not get that myself until last year's summer. I went to a beach with my family, and I was just running around. I was excited to be by the water. I was just running around. And then I started picking up stuff, you know the stone that the water will wash to the, to the side. And I picked up a stone shaped, of course, like a fish. I felt energy, the love of God, the energy of God, the life in that stone. I was overwhelmed by that emotion that I had to talk about it over and over again with my family, with my family. Seriously. So if there's anyone out there that think that a stone don't feel, I will advise you to think again. Because let's refer back to basic aspect of Ifa, Bible. In this case, I'm referring to. It says that honor to Moses, of course, alafia to Moses. That Moses strike his rod on a rock, and water came forth from that rock. What is that saying to us, people? My point, there is love of God, there is energy of God, there is light of God in everything. Even ants, even soil, never mind, we're on to ants, soil. When we begin to touch things this way and reflect on things this way, mentally, emotionally, physically, and soul as well, in every aspect of life, when we relate to things from that life of God, love of God, energy of God, that God, the eye of God touches with all things, we will start to think differently about our purpose on earth and everything around us, even things that we don't see. Because, take it or leave it, things we don't see are more than things that we see. Only we see things according to the will of God, and all the time is always for a purpose. God is not in the business of wasting anything, any energy whatsoever. God don't do that. What I'm trying to say in that tense is that when God decides to show us something, it is for a greater purpose. Even at that point in time, we may not even know it. I mean, this has happened to me several times. Like, I might not even know what that is, like, until 5 years later, or 10 years later, or sometime it could be the next second. Sometime it could be tomorrow. That's time. Nobody tells time what to do, or how to do it, or when. And at the same time, we truly, genuinely know that God don't keep us waiting. Do you love God? That's what we're talking about today. Do you love me? If God was to ask every one of us, do you love me? Has anyone even ever genuinely sat down and said, do I love God? But I think we're quick to rather say if something we didn't like happened to us, no matter how small, we're quick to say, some people have said, I don't know, like it's possible that some people who have said it, even myself, but I've passed that area of thought ages ago, whereby you begin to ask yourself, did God love you? Because something you don't like is happening at that point in time. God is number one teacher, the number one everything, best writer, best teacher, best voice, best everything, beyond best as God. And we see evidence of this in our tangible gods, our ancestors, that we have become their generations. We're quick to think or ask ourselves, because of situations, that does God love us? God loves us, that's what I'm trying to say. Now is a case of, do you love God? And if you love God, which I think most of us will say so, how do you love God? What do you do? Part of your daily ritual, part of your way of life, that convince you that you love God without compromise. Because it's one thing to love God, it's another to love God without compromise. If you will compromise God in any shape or form, then you don't love God. If you don't love God enough to make a decision and say, I wouldn't hurt anyone, knowingly or unknowingly, you just make that decision and leave the rest to strong arms of everlasting loving God. But people don't. I know that we live in a world whereby we preach love and we talk about love, but we do not exercise love. It's not because we're not capable of doing that. It's because we don't make any decision in that order, or because we think it doesn't matter. Some people will say, each to themselves. I don't think it's each to themselves like that. It's rather, making sure you take good care of your space. Therefore, as you honor and you respect your space, your position, the person next to you position, you're energetically wishing that person's position well as well. Now, because you're energetically like that as a person, the issue is that next person to you might not be feeling that kind of energy, or might not have that same aspiration towards you. But it's not relevant when you have learned to love God and you have learned how to love God, because it is not important to say you love God. You have to know how you love God. And when you're saying to yourself that, for me, I know that I talk about, in fact, that's all I do. I talk about love. I speak. I do everything love. Seriously. Now, don't think I do get angry, and that too, Moremi File has taken care of that aspect of me, whereby things will get me angry and I'll get upset. I'm a lot better in that area of life as well, since I have come into Moremi File that I am. For some of us, we really don't have options. We don't have any other options but to function in genuine love of God. When we function differently to that, that's when we encounter issues, problems, confusion, restlessness. It's because we don't have any. I don't know about other people, but I'm talking of some of us, and I'm talking about people who found themselves having to go through a lot of problems that they didn't look for, that just tend to be looking for them, it is because you're one of those people who you have to function from your aspect of the love of God. And until you find a way to come into that love of God that is in you, universe will be communicating to you in a way that you think trouble is looking for you. Call it God calling you. And God will not leave a stone unturned to make sure you hear God's calling. I say this because, as I always say, it is an experience. Somebody said something yesterday which I respect a lot. Someone special to me said something yesterday. Said, I don't know why people think the meaning of the world or the meaning of being in this world is to be competing with one another as to who has the most bigger box of money. Competing to be the richest, or you understand. Of course, I'll be the first person to say no one should be living a life of poverty, because personally I don't believe in that, because I know that my God is God of abundance. So why people are being, plagued with poverty or being things like this is one thing that I don't understand. And I always say to myself that things just don't make sense in this world. A lot of things do not make sense. At least I have a clue as to why that is the way it is now. It is simple. We don't function in God's genuine love. So, therefore, because if you function in God's genuine love, I promise you, you will find it difficult to hurt somebody else. Because when you hurt that person or that thing, whatever you want to call it, or when you hurt that person or you hurt something, not that thing, you hurt a person or you hurt something, you will feel the pain you're afflicting to that person. Therefore, you can't go about hurting things. So, that's the reason why God is our God of abundance, yet some people are having to live their life without basic amenities. Because most people, I would like to think, don't really ask for much. It's just normalcy of things, Like most people will say, they don't want war. I don't think that's asking for too much. So it's a lack of connecting with one another from that genuine love of God that is causing most of the problems in the world. So for me, I'm not having anyone telling me you love God and you're able to hurt somebody. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman or, And some people actually deem themselves that when a person is able to hurt another person, that means you have power. That means you are strong. That means only the world, they say, only the world, only the strong survived. I've heard that say some long time ago, like, only the strong survive. Imagine if God was to if God was to say that to man, that only the strong survive. Or are we stronger than God that create everything? Or if God don't say to us, only the strong survive, can we just begin to have it in our heart or in our mindset that everybody is strong. Remember, if you have a tinsel with a small amount of faith, you can move a mountain. So what is missing is the world not teaching us to connect with God, to connect with the light of God. Now, if the world don't teach you, you have to start to teach yourself the way of God. Look into your heart. It's not impossible. I mean, anybody, an average person will know that this is wrong and this is good. Maybe some people think it's too hard to be good and you don't achieve when you're good. Well, we're in God's time now. I don't necessarily agree that when you're good, you will not make it in life. That when you're good, you won't be successful in life. That most people who are good are not successful. Do you think so too? I mean, well, we're here. I know without reasonable doubt that this is God time now. So I think that every one of us is going to embark on being good. And we will realize that you don't have to be bad. You don't have to be an unreasonable person to succeed in life or to progress in whatever it is that you're doing in life. I think that is just a misunderstanding of, I think that's misleading. To think that is misleading. Some people even say to themselves, what is even love that we're talking about? What is love? When we're saying what is love, it's almost like asking what is God? Love is what you do. Love is who you are. Love is the light of God that lives inside of you, that instructs you to not want to hurt anybody else. Love is that light of God inside you that makes you happy when you see somebody else smile. You know, some people have an issue. I've been in a situation whereby when I smile, someone feels sad. Isn't that weird? That another person's smile will make somebody else angry. What a world. So love is not love is not what you take. Love is what you are. Love is what you do. I'm not sure I can say, because if I say love is not what you take, it means love is not what you give. Love is what you do. Love is what you are, light of God. Love is your connection with the God that is in you, that you are. When you're able to do that, you leave the rest to love. Leave the rest to God. God will be able, through you, spread that love to the river, to the trees, to the bird, to the ants, to the bees, all of it. And you know the beauty of God, all of that, God will take it back to you and wrap you up with it. And it goes on and on like that. Show and flow. That's love. Morimi Fila, strong arms of everlasting God, the eye of God that watches over all of us. Whether we know it, whether we don't know it, is irrelevant. Do you love God? In another word, do you love yourself? That's what it means. to love God. You have to really, really know how it feels to love yourself, to be able to love God. See, love is not about what you give to somebody else or any other, or what you take from somebody else. Love is your way of life, what you do, your energy. But it actually belongs to the source that it comes from. It belongs to God. Now it's God that knows how to use love to take care of every one of us. When you're able to love yourself, you'll be able to love God, and you'll be able to know that God is real. I will take this opportunity to celebrate all our ancestors from the onset. We give honor, Fire Ministry, give honor to all our ancestors from the onset and forever. I honor and celebrate every one of us that have consciously become the generations of ancestors. Ibadah of the week. I give honor to life, that all things that we think in our mind that is impossible, which one of it is being able to love ourselves genuinely in order to be able to love God that is in us, that we are. All these forms of impossibilities, ranging from the one that I aforementioned, will become a possibility in our lives. Reason and the know-how to begin that journey of coming into God that is in us, that we are. And we'll be able to feel the beauty of God, as we always do. However, that beauty of God that is in us that we are must overflow. Instruction of the week: we can achieve the ability to connect with the love of God in us by making a decisive decision. It's okay for us to think, how are we supposed to do that? It is not impossible. Just make that decision. The strong arms of everlasting God have done it. And connect with that faith. And whatever it is that we think as man we are not able to do, we have to not do it by might or by man's strength or by my strength. Do it with the strength of tangible God. Tangible God means you know in your heart that God is real. Even if you don't think so, it is not difficult for you to look around you and know that there are, as always, a lot of stuff, something that is bigger than every one of us. Is it the moon? Is it the sun? Is it the earth? Is it the rain? Is it the birds and the bees? Should I go on? Is it the air that we breathe? Or is it the water that we drink? Which one of it that's man-made? Come on. God is real. And it's not impossible to connect with that loving God. You can connect with the love of God. But the key to that, the center of that, is how you treat somebody else. That's tangible God. God sees how we treat each other. Now, if you treat somebody with the love of God and that person don't treat you with the love of God, that is of no concern of yours. God will take care of you. That made a decision to walk the path of God. Straight up. Hello, I speak from experience. If that was not the case, what I'm telling you now is real, I assure you, 1,000+%, I won't be sitting here speaking the way that I do about the love of God. It's because God is real and love of God is real. It's what you are that you connect with. If you're love of God, I can explain that. God will make sure everything will only touch you with love of God. It doesn't matter what else is going on. Just treat somebody else exactly the way you would like to be treated. Try. If you haven't done it before, try. Yeah, money is good. Big houses is good. Luxury, good, yes. But what about that beauty of God that makes all of those stuff all right? You know? It's called love of God. You know? God loving you. Smile like you love. God loves you to smile. God don't want us not smiling. It's man, practices of man, practices of people of the world that wants to take somebody's smile away, wants somebody not to smile. Why? What? People like this, what do you achieve doing that? How do you hurt someone and you feel joyful in your heart? Like, what is that? What is that? Without the love of God, do you think you will be breathing? Like, I think that's where the world is going, really. Love of God, genuine love of God, whereby none of us will feel anything good by hurting somebody else. We will not have whatever it is that makes somebody to hurt another person. That, whatever that is, just wouldn't be there anymore. And I strongly feel in my heart that it's going to happen in my lifetime. Because if I can feel the love of God, and I know it's better than anything else in the world, definitely when you're able to feel it, you will make the same decision. Nothing is better than God, really. Nothing is better than the love of God. Prior to this time, I was just always asking questions, like myself, questions that nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. Life at that time used to be very frustrating. It was just full of questions that I asked myself, why people are the way they are, that you just want to hurt somebody else. And even I've spent a long time asking questions as well. And nobody's ever really able to give me an answer. You just tend to be combative. Like they'll just switch off on me, like I'm saying something I shouldn't be saying. Like, and I'm like, what? Like you shouldn't be saying somebody shouldn't be hurting somebody else. So what am I supposed to be saying then? Laugh to all. That is the instruction of the week. We will come to a place as people of the global world whereby we won't find it purposeful anymore to hurt each other. And I have clarity in my heart that it will happen in my lifetime. I love you to all. I have clarity that Morimi Fila will keep us all beyond next week. Have a good one. Enjoy the beauty of God that is in you, that you are.